Unauthorized Cannibal Chapter 3 Let's meet in my office. Maintaining an ostensible peaceful coexistence is a privilege to unregistered cannibals and the police force. For years, a significant amount of evidence of police corruption involving high-profile cannibal brokers has been disclosed by the media, but such voices have all been quickly silenced due to their sensitive nature. As a result, they reached an unspoken agreement that the police would periodically leak limited information about convicted repetitive felons who have been released, so that cannibal hunters can take them off the streets. Whether this is ethical is still a matter of debate. Nonetheless, when the Mad Chopper was killed after being released from prison for serving only 8 years for mutilation, national attention was brought to the reports of his former victim publicly expressing gratitude to whoever killed him. Hannibal never needs such information. From an early age, he not only developed the ability to detect the presence of cannibals around by their scents, which aided his tracking during hunting nights, but also discovered his unique talent to see the head count of serial killers, irrespective of whether they were cannibals or not. It proves to be incredibly helpful in selecting prey, yet by the age of 25, he had learned to turn a blind eye to numbers that appear above the killers. This explains why Hannibal is astonished when he meets the TA with nice curls in the faculty office. The number he sees is 0. He never sees a 0. Technically speaking, one needs to commit at least 3 murders to be recognized as a serial killer. Otherwise, there should be no number at all. He firmly believed so until this very moment. The TA is a man with shaggy curls, and certainly an unregistered cannibal becomes less surprising. Hi, I'm Will Graham, the TA in charge of grading. Nice to meet you. Will mutters, avoiding any possible eye contact with Hannibal. Body stiffened, looking confused. Dr. Cannibal Lecter, and please call me Hannibal. Very glad to have the honor of finally meeting you in person. He can tell Will doesn't need those heavy frame glasses when he looks directly into Will's deep blue eyes with an interested grin, but he's certain Will doesn't catch that. And you will be the lecturer for 4 weeks for now, with possible extensions. I wholeheartedly wish Dr. Dumouriez all the best. Hannibal senses Will's disapproval of Jack's decision to find a temporary substitute. She'll be fine. A strong woman like her will never let things slip through her fingers, Will declares with great certainty. That would be great. In the meantime, I'm eager to discuss with you the possibility of requesting handwritten assignments. What do you think? Knowing how much TAs hate handwritten copies, Hannibal deliberately brings this up and watches. I think it is totally unnecessary. If you saw their in-class tests and you know how terrible their handwriting is. Will frowns, but not because of the unwanted extra labor, more like he is troubled by unsolvable puzzles. How about we experiment this on short essays first, and I'll help you with the grading to see if it works. Overtime will be compensated, of course. Hannibal carefully sets his trap. Okay, if you say so. TAs can't really refuse the lecturer's reasonable demands, can they? And he really needs some extra cash for his weekly purchases. Excellent. I'll see you at my office in Baltimore on Saturday afternoon. Hannibal hands over his business card. Without saying a word, Will nods slightly. Will thinks he's fully prepared for a meeting with this strange lecturer after hearing Alana and Bev talk about his fancy 3-piece suits and lavish work lunches. As he enters the hallway leading to the office, he finds himself haunted by an overpowering scent that almost chokes him and realizes he's wrong. It smells exotic yet familiar, sensual yet divine, soothing yet threatening, with an inescapable heat that nearly doubles his heart rate. Ignoring the ominous screams inside his skull, he knocks on the door and steps in. And immediately he knows why, at least in part. Even without making eye contact, Will can tell by the man's posture that the beast is ready to strike at any moment, not out of intention, but by instinct, which is even more horrifying to think about. Cannibal or not, he would have no trouble killing anyone in one snap. When Will tries to get a closer look, all he can see is endless darkness, a rare occurrence. If so, then why does Will Graham find this man's presence somehow reassuring? This is not the first time Will has encountered predators. In fact, as an FBI trainee, serial killers are the most common type of people Will gets acquainted with, and this is certainly not the first time that he meets attractive, strong alpha males. Did he just use the word attractive? Sighing inwardly, Will wonders if it's because he has been single for too long. The existence of his unresolved sexual tension suddenly becomes more conspicuous than ever. Will can feel the man's gaze lingering on him from top to toe with unexplained curiosity, so when he asks Will to meet in his office, Will silently accepts the offer without hesitation. Chapter 4. Please be my guide, Professor. Will has grown accustomed to being haunted in his dreams, where killers roam, hang corpses on hooks, peel off skin, and chop bodies into edible pieces. He tries hard to envisage dogs before going to bed, but controlling dreams isn't something a cannibal could do. Tonight is no different. But out of nowhere, Will catches a familiar scent from a single direction, serving as his guide to escape the labyrinth of horror. The smell he remembered from the day he was with Hannibal. Why exactly could he smell it remains a mystery. He can never distinguish between the fragrances worn by his siblings or the various smells of meat. However, Hannibal is a delightful exception. Will is drawn to the underlying, vague sense of safety in Hannibal's scent, which feels close to home. The mere thought of it will relieve his exhausted mind, allowing him to find peace where he stands. Will is well aware of Hannibal's curiosity about him, much like how a predator becomes interested in its prey before ultimately devouring it. However, Will does not want to be treated as merely a prey. Instead, he wants to hold on to this rare hint of security, to take in Hannibal's scent up close, intimately even. Skilled anglers not only understand how to cast bait, but more importantly, how to wield the reel to land their catch. Good afternoon, Will. Please come in. Before Will gets the chance to ring the doorbell, Hannibal opens the door with a boastful grin, as if he is counting on Will's steps. The once overwhelming scent seems inviting today, as it plays through Will's hair like a gentle breeze. Disregarding the intentionally positioned chairs, Will casually tilts his head and sits on the rarely used two-seat couch. Facing the floor-to-ceiling window, Will delicately presents his freshly trimmed curls to Hannibal. He wants Hannibal to know, even as he turns away, he is still able to sense the intensity of Hannibal's gaze, and he waits for Hannibal to break the silence and reclaim his control. Not fond of eye contact, are you? Instead of mentioning the essays, Hannibal leans on the window frame, casting a shadow over Will's face. Eyes are distracting, you see too much, and… Will blinks, not avoiding eye contact this time. What do you see? Hannibal knows the answer to Will's ask. Well, all sorts, usually mundane, sometimes unsettling. The only reason Jack Crawford needs him is to probe the minds of the killer, which Will can't say has positive effects on him. Association comes quickly. Hannibal stays, still looking into Will's eyes, apparently indulging in dark associations. I try not to let them interfere with me. It's not very convincing, judging by those weary eyes. The conversation reminds Will of his terrible nightmares, but also of his determination to land the fish. I assure you that you will not be bothered by these handwritten papers. I sorted through most of them this morning, identified the unrecognizable ones, and graded them based on the course guide instructions. Here are the rest. Striding to the secretary, Hannibal pulls out a stack of essays. Taking them from Hannibal's outstretched arm, Will looks into the top one with red scribbles and immediately spots the writing, not of the student, but of Hannibal himself. After all, it is impossible to unremember such elegant strokes. Hannibal is the one who writes down all the exquisite recipes, most probably also the one sending those human packages. Carefully not to show a clue, Will nods to Hannibal and takes a ballpoint pen out of his pocket, where the camping knife is usually kept. Noticing the smell of human blood observed by Will's pen, Hannibal wonders if Will could often hear the whimpers of the dead. The first paper of the stack takes the recent surge of cannibalistic attacks as a case study, intended to capture Will's attention. What do you think of unauthorized cannibals? Will casually inquires as he reviews students' essays, following the lead. Individuals must always be granted the freedom to determine their own status. Unlawful killings are no different from the collapse of church roofs, as both are a means to fulfilling God's will. Does God gloat? Often, eyes shining with unwavering confidence, Hannibal claims with mesmerizing and irresistible power, unworried if this FBI trainee might turn against him, the complete opposite of how Will handles his unauthorized status. Wouldn't that be risky, being unauthorized? Not if you are cautious with proper guidance. With a brisk tone, Hannibal winks at Will. Most people have stopped caring. It's long overdue, in my opinion. Would you be willing to guide me, Professor? Dating a colleague isn't what Will usually does, particularly with someone superior, but Will never considers Hannibal as a professor anyway. Con piacere.